Today's class is actually happening during Mental Health Week, which is really nice, which is a great thing to do for your mental health. And I thought today's class we would focus a little bit on this kind of idea of balance. So in yoga, there's a type of yoga called hatha yoga or hatha yoga. And the ha and the tha is the sun and the moon. So the yin and the yang, the hot and the cold, all of that. So I don't know if you're familiar with the yin yang symbol. It's a circle with a wavy line and then two dots. One side is black and one side is white. And in the white side, there's a black dot. And in the black side, there's a white dot. And the dots represent each side. So you could say good or bad. That's a bit strong, maybe dark and light, but good and bad. So you have your bad times. And in the bad times, there's always a little bit of goodness. And in the good times, there's always a little bit of badness. And we're always trying to find that balance, always trying to walk that thin line that's in between. So that's kind of our focus today, is just finding that balance. So we're going to start with a little bit of a mental focus, a little bit of grounding. So you're welcome to sit any way you like. You could even lie down we'll be here for about 4 or 5 minutes. So if you feel like you prefer to lie down, that's fine. And either rest the hands on the knees or in the lap. Let the shoulders relax down away from the ears. And if it feels comfortable for you, so if you're in a safe space, maybe at home or something, you might fancy closing the eyes. And we'll take a moment here. And just notice how we've arrived today. So maybe really start to feel into the body. Are we holding any emotional residue from our day or our week? Maybe even longer. Any tension in the neck and shoulders? Feel free to have a little wiggle through the shoulders or wiggle through the jaw. And just imagine softening them. Softening down the back of the neck, softening the muscles in the face. And maybe start to notice the breath. The breath is our bridge to our parasympathetic nervous system, the bridge to our rest and digest, to releasing stress. And it's our first sign when things are going differently. So when we get agitated, you notice the change in the breath. Noticing our breath now. And if it feels right, you could start to control it. So you could take some deeper breaths, maybe in and out through the nose. And start to notice your connection with the earth. So feel your feet resting down into the floor. Feel the parts of the body that are connecting down. So if you're sat up, it might be your bum bones and your hips and glutes. If you decide to lie down, you might feel the whole back of the spine, the back of the body and the head. Imagine you could just settle in a little bit. So maybe you can imagine the idea of kind of sinking into some nice soft moss or some sand. It's like, just kind of sink in and settle there. It just becomes a little bit easier. And then just bring the hands together into what's called Anjali Mudra. So just palms together in this prayer position at the center of your chest, at your heart center. You're welcome to keep the eyes closed here if you like. And when we join the hands, we join the right and left hemispheres of the brain. We have this joining or this marriage of logic and love, of wisdom and intuition. And we're encouraging that connection to maybe something deep within us. So you could say your higher self, your more wisdom self. And maybe even making that connection to the people who have come to join us today. So the community that are here with us live, with myself, and maybe even people who are going to watch this later. And holding your hands together with the palms just lightly touching, so you can feel a slight cupping as if you're holding a delicate flower. And then into this cup, drop your intention, maybe a wish, maybe you enjoy the terms like prayer, whatever really resonates with you. Just see about putting something there. When you feel ready, if you haven't yet, maybe let the eyes blink open. We're going to reach the hands up towards the ceiling and allow that wish to kind of melt down over top of you. So let the palms come apart. Let yourself hold that. And then take the hands wide and down by the sides. And then we'll do a few of those with the breath. So inhaling, mixing and churning. Exhaling as you take the hands wide. Again, inhaling. Exhaling. And it's absolutely fine if we ever get out of sync. We don't have the same lungs and bodies, so it doesn't have to be in sync. We're not a dance troupe. One more time. And then when you feel ready, we're actually going to come onto the knees. So if you're sat with straight legs, you might decide to have a little pause first. Kind of let the blood flow, have a wiggle, especially if you're not used to sitting cross-legged. And then when you're ready, swooping the feet around and coming onto all fours. I tend to line up wrists under shoulders and knees right under hips with a little bit of space between the knees. But if it's uncomfortable on the wrists, feel free to take them a little bit more forward or play around with the position, see if that makes it a bit more comfortable. And we'll go for some cat-cows here. So on the inhale, belly drops down, tailbone goes up, heart forward, maybe pulling the shoulder blades back, lifting the chin a little, opening the chest. And on the exhale, rounding through the back, opening the space between the shoulder blades, stretching maybe. You might not feel much of a stretch, but that's okay. And again, starting to move back and forth with your breath. And if you're feeling kind of energetic today and you want to just kind of spice things up a little bit, I'll give you the option to make this bigger. So you could curl the toes and take the bum towards the heels, reaching through the hands, going into a bit of a child's pose. And on the inhale, you can lean into the positions where the hands are now, so coming forward a bit and dropping the hips. So you're still moving through the spine in a similar way, but now you're kind of bringing the hips into it more. So see if you can really feel into the whole spine as you go through the movement, and decide for yourself if you wanted to spice it up or not, if you wanted to take this version or if you wanted to make it a little bit more simple, a little bit more not as spicy. Because there's no right or wrong. And we adapt our yoga practice to kind of suit our life. So what we've been doing, if we feel like our life has been very yin and very cool and very relaxing, then maybe we add that extra spice to our practice to find that balance. Again, just kind of moving with your body and what feels right. I'm going to go for one more. And when you finish, we'll all meet in that child's pose. Have a little pause when you get there. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way to downward dog. So you might come up to all fours first, get nice and sturdy through the hands, and then bum up high, belly back towards thighs. And I always say if downward dog is just not your pose today, maybe you come upstairs and you go, ugh. You can always do an alternate leg stretch here instead, kind of taking one foot out from all fours. And that way you're not nearly as upside down. And it's a very nice stretch for the legs if downward dog is just not happening today. If you're all right, obviously, we'll hold it. So maybe you walk the dog, bending one knee, pressing the opposite heel away. Maybe you like to sway the hips. And if you do sway the hips, you'll feel that movement through the spine. So taking the hips to the right and then to the left. Then when you feel ready, start to come forward and drop down onto the knees. So we're upside down, so maybe you have a little pause, just make sure you feel okay. And then we're going to come down to the belly. So if you're using something under your knees, I tend to use a blanket because I'm on a hard floor, then you probably want to put your hips onto that, just so it's comfortable. And then we're going to take the hands by the ribs, so tucking the elbows in, down by the sides, point the toes, and start by just keeping the head from squashing into the floor. So you can feel the muscles in the back engage. You can feel your chest starting to lift up off the floor a little bit. And then if you want to, again, spice it up, you might engage more through the back to see a little challenge, to see how much you can lift up without using the hands. If you want to make it easier or say less challenging or less spicy, you could put your head on your hands, because even just lying in your crocodile pose is definitely a back bend. So, and again, just kind of decide for yourself. I know it's lunchtime, so I want to give the spicy versions in case anyone's like, yeah, energize me. I've been sad all morning. Again, another spice could be to take the toes off the floor, another way to heat it up a bit. Maybe even reaching with the toes to get the knees off the floor. That might not happen. That's okay. See if you can feel that energy in the back of the body. No matter how strong into the pose you've gone, it doesn't matter. Keep the belly engaged, even if it's just a little bit, pulling in towards the spine. And then when you're ready, we're going to press back up to our downward dog. Again, spicy version would be a push-up if you want to press strong into the hands. If not, then you can go to all fours and press back in your own time. And then we're all going to meet in all fours. So we're going to drop the knees down and make your way to a child's pose. So pointing the toes. Bum tries to go back towards the heels as much as it can. Head rests down on the floor or on the fists. So again, depending on your shape, it might look very different, but that's absolutely fine. And then when you're ready, we're going to come on to the belly. So I'm just going to come up to all fours and then use my hands and then my elbows, lower all the way down. And again, when you feel ready, we're going to start to roll over onto the back. So there's no rush, taking your time. If you do have anything behind the head, so I always wear a hair clip, so just move that, either push it up to the top of the head or actually take it out, whatever's easier for you. So we could bend the knees and take the arms either above the head or out to the sides, especially depends on your space as well. Do a restful twist. So you might stack the thighs on top of each other on one side and then just pause there. Maybe the head turns away from the knees slightly. We come back to the breath. And we're going to start a visualization that you can take with you. Something you can do anytime if you like. So on the exhale, imagine that you are breathing out all your negativity, bad feelings, pain and misfortune in the aspect of a thick, dark smoke that disappears far into space, never to be seen. If you're holding your twist on one side, move to the other side now. Adjust and wiggle as you need to. It's absolutely fine if you go skew-whiff off your mat or things like that. And again, come back to that visualization. And breathing out what we don't need. And letting go. And then on the inhale, imagine you are breathing in radiant white light. The essence of pure positivity and inspiration. Beautiful energy and healing, giving you whatever you need. So in this way you move between the two breaths, exhaling what we don't need and inhaling and holding on to what we do. Things are a give and a take. If we gripped with our hand and it didn't open, we wouldn't be able to hold anything, we wouldn't be able to let things go. If our hand was completely relaxed and didn't grip at all, we wouldn't be able to hold on to anything. It's all about that balance, that giving and that taking. And that affects our minds when we've been stressed or we've had important things happening. We've had to speak in front of people. We've had decisions and choices to make. And it shows up in our bodies when we exercise or we climb a mountain or we run a marathon or something really taxing for the body. And we're constantly changing and adapting and finding ways to bring that balance back. If you're holding your twist, start to roll back onto the back, straighten the legs, and bring the hands down onto the belly. And then bring your hands onto your body, and you might give yourself a hug or rub your hands through your hair. And take a deep breath. And when you're ready, slowly start to roll over and sit yourself up. And again, there's no rush. And we'll seal our practice with that one more big collective group breath. So bringing the hands to the heart again in your Anjali Mudra. Taking a big deep breath in. Exhale again, you can sigh it out. Thank you so much for joining me today.